All right, everybody, today's video is going to be how do we negotiate a corner-fed doorway in a defensive situation when it's just one of us. All right, in today's video, we're actually going to be in our shoot house here at D5 Ranges Marengo. Our shoot house here is 360 degrees bulletproof, so we are bulletproof all the way around. And today we're going to be talking to you about how do we handle a corner-fed doorway in a home defense or like a structured defense type of situation where we have so many unknown variables. How many bad guys are there? Where are they? And what weapons do they have? When we're really starting to talk about how we handle things like this in a structure, whether it be at your home or a store or something towards that effect, we've always got to think about distance and angles. So the things that should be rolling through our heads at all times when we're doing stuff like this is distance and angles. So let's kind of talk about this from maybe what we have normally seen in movies or other videos where we see something like a SWAT team or a Navy SEAL team and they're combating a doorway. And what we wind up seeing is that team, that SWAT team or that Navy SEAL team, they have a tendency to hug this interior wall. Right, so like we see in movies, there's almost like this big stack up of guys in the team. They're combating this doorway and this wall from this side. But we've got a problem with that, and the key word is team. See, they have a team of people, SEAL teams, SWAT teams. Teams mean we have a group of people. So the theory or the principle or the premise of being against this wall makes sense when we've got multiple people in that team because see, we're kind of doing a shock and awe technique with that team, meaning how fast can I get all of these guys in this stack or this team into that room and have guns in that room as fast as possible to shock and awe the situation from the interior. The problem is most of the time in home defense, structured defense or concealed carry, we don't have a team of people that we work with. It's us, it's just one person. So how do we set ourselves up for the most success when it's just us battling this doorway? Again, thinking about the unknowns. How many bad guys are on the opposing side of that doorway? Where are they located and what weapons do they have? So let's start talking about the technique we would use for being just one person battling that doorway. All right, so remember what I said in the beginning about the two important things we really got to think about, distance and angles. Let's start to apply that to being that singular person attacking that doorway. So instead of being on that opposing side like we talked about with the teams, we actually want to have greater distance and angles away from that doorway. And so I want to stay as far away from that doorway as possible, and I want to start to create an angle towards that doorway, always thinking distance, angles, distance, angles. And I want to start to slowly reveal portions of that room, giving me small tidbits of information as I'm looking to that doorway. That gives me the ability to see what's on the opposing side of that doorway, small chunks of information, and much farther back. So if I'm battling it from this side of the wall now, I can now, as I walk forward, giving my distance and angles as my theory, I can now start to see some information in that room and I start to see a target from here. Now this distance from here to that target is about 15 feet right now. But let's go ahead and switch to the other side of that room or the other side of that hallway as if we were that team, right? I am hugging this wall. I'm not thinking about the distance and angles because I've got a team of people behind me, but I get no information of being inside that room until now. Now we're 6 feet from that wall. So I went from 15 feet where I'm getting information to 6 feet, and I now see much more of that target, which also means that target sees much more of me. The other problem side to that is if I have an issue right here, a malfunction of my firearm or I run out of ammunition, in order to get away from this, the only direction I can go is straight back, like this, in order to change that malfunction or change my mags. I can't step this direction because if I do, now I'm into head-to-head or face-to-face battle with that opponent. I have nowhere to escape but straight back. So let's go ahead and work that from this side. Again, going into that theory or the principles of distance and angles, right? So we're gonna head back into here, constantly thinking distance and angles. I'm gonna go ahead and draw, right? And I'm here. I'm gonna walk, just a simple walk, small steps, and I'm gonna start to expose that room inch by inch by inch in what we call pieing the room or slicing the pie, giving myself small tidbits of information in there so that I'm only exposing small amounts where I'm only battling potentially one person at a time. Remember, I don't want to rush towards that doorway. I've got time to deal with things. Because if I rush towards that doorway, I might wind up battling 1, 2, 3, or 4 people. Again, I don't know where they are, how many they are, and what weapons they have. So I really want to ensure that I'm only in a battle with one other person. Slowly slicing that room, opening that room, and diagnosing what I'm seeing. All right, so now I'm approaching that doorway. Again, another important thing to think of is giving this wall some room to breathe. I don't want to hug that wall because I'm making noise and I'm stuck to that wall. Give it a little bit of room to breathe. Give myself some distance away from this wall a little bit too. And as I'm starting to gain information in that room, my firearm is also leading with my eyes. Because if my gun is pointed here and my eyes are here and there's a threat, I don't want to have to sweep this. I'm going to draw that and keep that into that room. By the time I've now gained the information I need, I can now see that there's a threat on the opposing side of that doorway, and I can engage that threat if I had to. So I've now had that ability to neutralize said threat on the opposing side of that doorway. Now where do I go? I continue on my slow walk, giving myself more information into that room as I go, inch by inch, slowly revealing more information. But now we come to our doorway. Once I come to this doorway, I really want to notice where this door frame ends. And I want to make sure I don't pass that door frame just yet. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to post my foot on this side of the doorway like this. And now I'm going to start to lean out, getting myself more information where I notice that there's another threat. Now the reason why I'm going to do this is I don't want to have a leg out here. If I have a leg out here, notice that it's past the threshold of that doorway. And if there's now a bad guy on this side and I have a problem, he could start shooting my legs. And if I have a malfunction or I run out of ammunition, I can't just simply lean back out of the way because my leg is going to get shot. Whereas if I don't allow that leg to pass the threshold of this doorway, if I have an issue, I can simply just lean back out of that doorway, fix that malfunction or mag change, and come back out and gain my information again. So now I lean out, I've gained more information slowly, and I find another target to engage. Now, once I've engaged and neutralized said threat, I still don't know how many more there are or where they're at. So now I'm starting to open this doorway up as I go. Again, still remembering my distance and angles. Now, I may have to create a slight sidestep here. So I don't ever want my feet to come together. I'm gonna slide out and slide, slide out and slide, slide out and slide, gaining myself more information. Then I come to the actual threshold of this doorway here. Now, I want to ensure that I'm still on this side as opposed to tightening this door frame here. Because if I get tight to the door frame here, my gun has to come in, and I now, in order to get more information, have to get my firearm and arms out into this room, and that's a big problem place to be, right? In case I have that malfunction or anything like that, or there's somebody here I didn't see, having this gun in that area is a problem. So I want to stay tight to this exterior. Again, farthest distance away, giving myself the greatest angles. So as I come to combat this doorway, I gain more information, pay attention to where the frame of the door is, not allowing a leg to pass, slowly exposing more of that room as I go. Now, it's going to feel a little bit awkward at first because most of us aren't used to shooting from this compact position here, but it's okay. We absolutely can shoot from this position, and we all have the ability to manage that recoil from here. So don't feel like I have to have this gun punched out because that could be a problem for this doorway. So I want to bring this gun in compact so I don't hit my gun. Gun and eyes come together as I slowly start to expose this room. If I see another threat, neutralize that threat. And this is how we work a doorway. All right, so a couple questions maybe that we should answer on this one. First is, how fast do we need to move through this? Well, the answer is as slow as really that you can, because we don't have a necessity to rush. We don't have to fly into that room. We're trying to gain data and information in that room, and we kind of gather that slowly. Plus, if I do it slowly, I'm not making a lot of noise and giving away my position where potentially they could start to try to shoot through a wall. So I'm moving at a nice pace where I can just expose that room, gaining myself more data. Plus, the slower I move, the less water bed I get when I move, so my gun and my body aren't bouncing around. But then that's gonna bring us to the next question is, why do not have my firearm extended straight out during every single part of this? And that's because, one, it's unnecessary when there are tight places, and two, it starts to lead that firearm off into a room. So we'll do this in an example, right? If I have my firearm extended straight out as I'm doing things, notice that my firearm and my hands and my arms extend into a room before I do. Which means if there were a bad guy here and this gun came out like this, he could grab it if I'm lucky. If I'm unlucky, he has that knife or that machete or that gun where he now simply slices, cuts, or shoots through those hands that are exposed out of the doorway, and either he takes it or it's unoperational because he's grabbed it, or now he's damaged my hands, my arms, and remember, we've got major arteries and blood vessels that run through these hands too. So keeping this extended out is now giving the bad guys information that I'm out in that room, or I have parts of me out in that room, and they can take that firearm and me potentially out of commission. So there's nothing wrong with building a compact shooting position as we're coming in, because I still have a good sight picture and I still have the ability to shoot and mitigate muzzle rise and recoil. And then if I had to or wanted to, I can punch out after I've already started shooting or engaging that threat. So again, go slow. We don't need to move fast, and bring this gun in as we come to exposure so that the gun doesn't lead us before we get out into that room. Also, moving slow through our areas is going to give us that ability to gain that information and data we need. And part of that data that we need is what actually is that object or that person that's in the opposing side of that threshold or into that room. So I can't just simply say, I see a small portion of that target, I'm going to engage it. Because what if that target was a loved one or another innocent person in that area? So we need to make sure that we gain enough information on our target to ensure that that is a threat for us to engage or neutralize. Right, so now that we gave you the tools and the information to understand how to negotiate that corner-fed doorway in your home defensive situation, or even when you're out and about in any structure, it begs the question, how do we actually practice this? Well, it's simple. Do it in your own home. Take a fully cleared firearm or a dummy gun, or even a Nerf gun if you wanted to, and go ahead and start to clear your home in that manner. Focus on your doorways. See your doorways, see your hallways, see all these different things from that new light or that new perspective of distance and angles, and practice it as many times as you can at home. Also, when you're out in public, it's something that we can keep in our minds when we're being situationally aware and we enter that restaurant or that grocery store, convenience store, or big box store. Think about, where are these rooms, these hallways, and these doorways? And that gives us that situational awareness, and our brain is always thinking about these sorts of things. So I hope you enjoyed the information that I gave you in this little video. And if you want to get more information like this, where you're actually doing it live fire in this shoot house and you're learning so much more, check out our class. It's called Home Defensive Fundamentals. And there's a few classes that get you into this shoot house to not only learn, but to practice these sorts of things. And if you have any more questions or need any more info, go ahead and check the link in the bio down below. And as usual, we hope you had fun watching this and learning from this video, and we'll see you next time.